Welcome back to the second video in the TI Basic tutorial for the TI-83 Plus. In this video, we're going to look at variables. Now, I'm going to assume you know nothing about variables from past coding history, so I'm just going to give a brief overview of them before we jump in. The illustration I like to use for variables is this sort of box here. And this box will take on the identity of any number we put into it. So if we put this 24 into this box, it will now take on the identity of 24. And if we want to put in a different number like 22, simply just put it in and this becomes 22. So why is this useful? I'll show you. But first, let's go to program and create a new one. And we're going to call it lesson 2. Now, we're going to start off by using the same command we used last time, the disp command. Remember to hit the program key and go to the IO tab. Now, instead of writing any text or anything, we're going to write in just simply A. A is the variable that we will be using in this video. It is the box that we mentioned earlier. So if we run this program, we should see a number pull up. Now yours will probably be 0 if you have cleared your RAM, but mine right now is 2, which means this variable A has the identity 2. And we could see this if we just press A and press enter. Now let's head back to our program. Let's go over to the edit tab, go down to lesson 2. Create a new line if you haven't already. And we're going to type this 3, store this key in A. Now all this is doing is putting the number 3 in A, our box, like the diagram that was on the other screen. So now, if we display A after that, we should see that A first equals 2, or 0 in your case, and then equals 3. In order to make this so it looks like yours, I'm going to store 0 in A. You can do this as well, because putting 3 in A will automatically make it 3 all the time. So now every time you press this, you should get 0 and 3. This is useful for things like player names and player numbers that they enter in. Now, one practical use of this is something that is used in a guessing game. I will show you how to make this game later on, but for now, let's learn the command needed to use it. We're going to go to the program key, head over to IO, which stands for input/output. Now, the command we're actually going to learn about is number 1, input. So go ahead and paste that there before everything else. And we're going to get rid of these lines and press delete to get rid of them. All we want is one display A. And actually, let's add in a clear home before all this. Go over to IO, and it's number 8. Now this input command basically takes input from the person holding the calculator and puts it in a variable. The format for this is just like this. And just type this in right now. It'll make sense in a second. If you have this, exit out of the program and run it again. Now you'll see this. This is the calculator asking you for something. You see, you can't move out of here. You could type in a number and you can clear it. But what it's asking you for right now is for A. So I'm going to press 8, and we say 8 is displayed. That is because we told it to display A. So all this is doing is shows this on the screen to tell you that you're inputting A and then puts it in the box A, or the variable A. Now we can change this to be whatever we want, but for the sake of clarity, I use the thing in the first example because this looks a little strange. And we can see if we try it with any number, it will always display that number. There are several types of variables, but right now we're just going to focus on the input command, and I'll show you some of the others. One of the other functions of this input command is actually on the graph screen. Now, in order to see the graph screen in a program, we have to go to Input Output and press 4, Display Graph. This command literally just does the same thing as pressing the graph key. It shows this graph, and if you have nothing in your equations, it should look like this. If not, I'd clear your RAM so you get the same results. Now, if we go back here, this does something cool. We're going to run this real quick and I'll show you. Now we see the little pause indicator here, but we can actually move our arrow keys around. What this is doing is asking for us to select a pair of coordinates. Now I'm going to go up a ways so that we remember that our number for y is 10. And this one's 1.4. If I press enter, the program stops. But if we go back to lesson 2, add in display x and display y, run the program, and do this again, we will see that x equals 1.4 and y equals 10. This is a cool feature if you're wanting somebody to select something on a grid or a map, or maybe just even moving around. It has potential. Now I'll teach you about a new kind of variable. We're going to leave the input command in here, and we're going to type in, if I can get where I'm going, we're going to type in your name, colon, parenthesis, then comma, and we're going to hit the vars key right here. This stands for variables. Now we're going to go down to 7, string, and we're going to hit number 1. Now a string is a box variable as well, but instead of holding numbers, it stores text. So afterwards, we're going to go disp var string, string 1, and display string 1. And then, for the sake of not having a messy screen, we'll add in the clear home. The clear home. Now, if we run this program again, we see this. And we're going to type in quotation marks, Bob. And we see Bob is displayed. This is very useful in programs for things like names, because then we can go and add in a new line, add disp, and say things like, hi, comma, and then it'll print out your name. I'm going to type in Bob. So now this says, hi, Bob. This is very useful when making games because it allows you to do things such as record the player's name or certain text or dialogue. We're going to do one last example, and we're not going to use strings for this. So go ahead and clear everything after the clear home. And we're going to get our input command, program, IO, input. And we're going to type in first, colon, end quotation mark. And we're going to store that in A. So this is going to ask you for your first number. Then we're going to do the same thing and ask for the second number. And we're going to store that in B. Now after this, we're going to clear the home screen. We're going to display that N1, number 1, plus N2. And we're going to grab an equal sign. We're pressing second, test, and then enter. Add your final quotation mark and add a new line. So we're going to add these two numbers together and then make the answer display on screen. So we're going to do A plus B, and we're going to store it in variable C. Then we're going to display variable C. So if we run this right now, and you did it correctly, for the sake of example, I'm going to type in 6 and 5. So C, or N1 plus N2, should equal 11. Now we're going to add one last thing, and to finish this up, we're going to learn a new command real quick. This new command is called the pause command. So enter a new line, press program, and go down in this first tab to number 8. Paste it there. And what this pause command does is it waits for the user to press enter before continuing with the code. So we're going to say wait for them to press enter, and then we're going to clear the home screen and stop the program. So now, if we run this, and then we're going to type in 6 and 5. So now it equals 11 again. But you see this little indicator right here. This is the pause indicator. This is telling us that the calculator is waiting for us to press enter. So we press enter, and it clears the screen, and the program is finished. This is a great way to end your programs and games, and this is what I will be using to end most of them in this series. I hope you learned from this video. If not, go back, you can watch it again, slow things down if I would too fast, and I hope to see you in the next one.